Welcome to Shout It Out. My name is Mr. Drew. I'm your host for today. This is the home of motivation and inspirational voices. This is the show where we bring people from diverse backgrounds to come tell their stories of their journeys, of how they started in life, where they are and where they're going, but above all, what they're doing for the community. And the guest we have today, gosh, she's going to tell you a piece of her mind. It's going to entertain you. It's going to challenge you. But above all, it's going to inspire you. So I'm going to welcome my guest for today. She has this acronym, which is Mother, Author, Developer, Entrepreneur. And it spells MADE. She's going to explain more about that. So I'm going to welcome none other than Barbara Anderson from Jenister.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Hi, Barbara.
I love that. That's
fantastic,
amazing.
fantastic. Thanks for joining us.
And thank you for having me.
You're always welcome. Barbara is the Senior Vice President at Jenister, and she's had an incredible story, and she's going to tell us about that. Not so, Barbara?
All right. It's an awesome honor to be here, and I really want to thank you, as I said, to have me on the show.
You're welcome.
And the thing about life is that, you know, we're on this journey,
Correct.
and, you know, your job is to not just be about yourself, your job is to be about others as well.
Correct.
And so I came to the UK many years ago. It just seemed like forever. In fact, the 17th of June, just gone, is actually my 30th year in the UK.
Congratulations!
Thank you. So you seem I've been here longer than, you know, that I've been born. You know, and it's, you know, it is such an amazing thing. You know, I love my acronym that you just used about being a mother. I also have another version of it, which is motivated all day, every day.
Motivated all day, every day. You heard it first on the show. Shout it out.
Absolutely.
Go for it.
Yes. So, you know, one of the thing about it is, for me, it is really about being the person that my daughter wants to emulate.
Okay.
That is very, very important to me. And being that person who comes out of a community where you can look and say, you know, my grandmother used to say, can any good come out of Nazareth? Come and see. So here is the good out of Nazareth. Here I am.
And we're seeing right now.
Yes, here I am. Here's the good out of Nazareth. So, you know, the thing about it is, you know, I really believe that people need to have some kind of guidance. And people need that support. And, you know, being a mother, it's not just about my daughter. It's about the other children that she's also going to be able to empower. Because whatever I'm doing, it's about the ripple effect of what you do today that you don't know where it's going to end up. And I always say, you know, I start my recordings with the date, and I'm saying, you know, if you're listening to this 500 years in the future, if YouTube is still around, or, you know, if time is still here, I'm hoping that what I'm saying today will still be powerful and it will be, you know, giving people the chance to empower them and to help them to make a difference. So it's about leaving that little print of yourself in time. Correct. That, you know, it can make a difference to the others. So, as I said, you know, my mom has 3 children. I was going to say I'm the baby, but I'm her baby. But I've got 2 younger siblings. I've got a sister that lives in the south of France.
Fantastic.
And I've got a brother that lives in Wood Green.
Wow.
Yes, there's 6 granddaughters.
Congratulations.
She's been very fortunate to have 6 girls, no boys. I don't know what's going on now. Apart from my brother, he's the only boy in the family. So bless his heart. I mean, well, we, you know, the daughters are married now, so she's got 2 sons as well from that.
Well, there you go. There you go. There you go.
Yes, it is really for me. Part of what life is about is being able to make a difference. Correct. I want to be able to somebody to say one day that when I'm not here, then she made a difference. She made a difference, you know. And, you know, the space you're taking up here on earth, you should pay for it. You should pay for it. And you're going to pay for it some way, shape, or form, and make sure it's in a positive way that you're paying for it. And this is Barbara on this journey to helping, empowering, engaging, and helping more people to be inspired to do something awesome for their future.
Come on! Wow! I just like the way you were flowing, you know, be inspired, you know.
You need a co-host?
Well, yes, I may need a co-host, and here is the co-host, Barbara Anderson. You know, it's amazing, Barbara. You have this sort of charismatic and enthusiastic thing about you, but you've had a very interesting journey. Let's start from 1995.
Oh wow! Now that's a story. So in 1995, I came to the the UK. I got married and I came to the UK.
Yeah.
And I thought the streets were paved with gold, and then I got here and realized that actually that's not true. You're fooled. However, yes, my marriage lasted for about 3 months.
Okay.
And I'm going to be honest, it was my fault. I'm not going to say my husband was a horrible man.
Okay.
That would have been a lie. And I think, they say you got to speak the truth and shame the devil.
Yeah.
And so my truth is that, I think at age 24, getting married at 24, you're kind of thinking,
early?
Yes, haven't lived life yet, you wanted...
Still want to go clubbing?
So there was that. But then my marriage didn't work out.
Okay.
And
sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Well, I'm happily married again.
Oh, fantastic.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord. You see, I'm just going to interject there. Everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely.
The first time you do it, it might not work out.
And that was a test.
But then you come back.
Check it out.
Reload. And you press the reset button and you go for it. Well done.
Alrighty. So, yes. So, my marriage just didn't work out.
Okay.
And I was asked to go back to Jamaica in 1997.
Yeah.
And so I was put on a plane, sent back to Jamaica.
Oh.
And here I am.
Wow. You see, never let your current situation dictate your future. That's been said in so many ways in this program. Barbara is going to illustrate and elaborate a bit more. She came in 95, went back in 97, didn't know what was happening, but here she is now, doing extremely well for herself. Go for it, Barbara.
Absolutely. I think one of the things you can do, you can sit and you can, say, complain about the situation.
Yeah.
I saw something today, and I was just looking at it, and it was saying you can't change the weather.
Yep.
You can't change the direction the wind is going to blow.
No,
you
not
can't
at
go
all.
back and undo an incident.
Correct.
All you can do is pick up and move from where you're at.
Yes.
You can't just sit around. And one of the things about me is that every day I get up and I work like everything depends on me, and I pray like everything depends on God.
Ah, I like
yeah,
that.
so
I
I wasn't
like
going to
that.
sit around and wait for another opportunity. I was going to create my opportunity.
Ah, I like that.
Yeah,
I like
I was
that.
going to create my opportunity. So I came back to the UK, and I got a job in the bank again. I used to work in the bank, and here I am again, back in the bank.
Yeah.
And I was there working, and I met my daughter's dad in the bank, and my daughter is now 23. She's going to be 24 next month.
Congratulations, daughter. Shout out to the daughter.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Carell.
Carell, shout out.
Hopefully she's watching, right?
Yeah, I'm sure she is. I'm
yes.
sure she is.
All right. So, during that process, in fact, one of the things that happened during that time, I decided I wanted my own property. So I came back.
Okay.
And in 1999, I took my brother, the January 99. I took my sister, August 99.
Whoa.
I got my key for my first home.
Wow.
I had just mortgaged my property, to get my first property. And we picked up the key the same day she landed. And then I took my mom the October. So all three of them, the people who were near and there and closest to me, all came in 1999.
Wow.
In fact, I got my first property before I even had my stay in the country.
I mean, can you imagine that? When God's on your side,
Amen.
Barbara got her property before she even got her stay in the UK.
Yes.
Commit everything to the Lord your God and
Amen.
lean not on your own
On
understanding.
understanding.
Barbara, carry on before I start preaching.
So yes, I got my first property. I had my daughter, and one of the thing about it is, you now have a property with. It's a small property with everybody. You kind of squashed inside there,
That's
and
right,
you
that's
decided you
right.
need to move on. So I went and I changed my property. In fact, one of the things is I went shared ownership because my income was adequate to buy a home on my own. So I went shared ownership. Had a lovely home.
Wow.
Well, it wasn't always lovely, right?
Yep.
I got it, and it needed fixing. It had been locked up for years, and I remember I came in from work one evening, and the guy that was working on it said the door was closed, and he said, "Let your mom tell you before you go in." And she said, "Okay, make sure you're ready for the view. You go in there," and all of that thing that they put on it, the plaster had fallen down because he went to change the skirting boards, and it was so dry the whole thing came down. You're right. Wow. So I had a baby who had moved into a property. There was no carpet on the floor, and she's crawling around, and you're trying to, there was nails hanging out everywhere, and trying to protect her from all of that. And got the property all done. It was nicely done. But somewhere in that journey, I got into a rough spot. Was unable to pay my mortgage. The loans I had taken to help fix the house up, I wasn't able to pay all of these, and I was in court every day, guys. Literally every day, because every week I would go into court, and it was the same judge over and over. the judge must have gotten fed up seeing me. He would sit there, look over his glasses at me like this and go like, not you again.
Not you again.
Weren't you here last week? And now here you are again. And so I'd show up and he'd give me a reprieve, and I'd go back crying the next week again. And he kept giving me that reprieve over and over and over and over. And, eventually we made a decision. We had to sell. Our old company closed. They paid me out some money. Okay. And one of the thing about it is I took more than half of that money to clear the mortgage, the outstanding debts. So literally for a lot of people, they would have gotten a batch of money and they would have been like, okay, that's fantastic. We can do life.
Do this,
Mine was clearing my debts and saying, here you go, have your house back.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in any more trouble.
Correct.
But the thing about it is I just realized as well that God never gives you anything that's yours and he takes it back.
Ah, come on. That's a powerful
He never
one.
takes it back. Yeah. So that home wasn't meant to be mine. That wasn't what God had prepared for me. He's got something so awesome. I can already envision it, and I'm already knowing that God is going to do something so awesome.
Amen.
We live somewhere really nice now, but I know God's got something amazing planned. But sometimes he takes you backwards for you to reflect.
Correct.
And for you to remember him for who he is and the person he's taken you that far.
Correct.
So I went along that journey and got out of the property and thank God I got out with my head held high. I remember once my mom rang me.
Yeah.
And she said to me, oh, there's a man here. And it was the bailiff.
Wow.
It was like, she had taken, I started fostering as well. And my foster son, she'd take my foster son to nursery, or is it my daughter? I'm not sure which one. And she came back and he was outside and he said, are you guys packed to leave? And she goes like, what are you talking about? And she rang me and, so the bailiff's here to take the house. And I rang my solicitor. This is what he's saying about how good God is.
Yes.
She got on the phone. I said, no, I got that order stopped yesterday at 5 p.m.
Wow.
Just before the court closed
God
yesterday,
is good.
she got the order stopped.
Yeah.
So at no point in that journey, my faith was so strong that even when things were tough, I never sat home and cried. Yeah. I got up every day and went out like, life was great. Because, I love what, my coach says. He says, half the people are glad you have problem and the other half don't care.
Correct.
So my going out and sharing my problems with people wasn't going to help me.
At all.
It was not going to help me.
Not at
so
all.
I got up every day and I kept stepping and I kept striding and I kept stepping, because one of the thing about it is I was given a book years ago when I started out, and it was a book called The Dream Giver by Bruce Wilkinson.
I've heard
and
that
one
book.
thing about the Dream Giver will never give you a dream that he hasn't give you the resources
for. Come on.
He will never ever do that.
I like that.
Yes, I also know that sometimes the Dream Giver is going to let you walk on your faith. Yeah. He is not going to stand with you on every journey and say, I'm here. He's there. He's not going to let you hurt yourself, because he'll never take you down a dark alley to leave you down there. Ever, ever, ever. And the thing is, he was on that journey with me, but he wanted me to leap on my faith and said, okay. He said, girl, if you jump, I'm going to catch you. Yeah, I'm going to catch you. You don't need to know how to fly. We always joke about, people don't like cruise, right?
Yeah.
Oh, because I can't swim. But they're all going to plane, even though they can't fly. All right? So for me, it's really about, so it's really about this journey so far that God has taken me on, and being able to bless others and be a blessing to others. That's what it's about. I just praise God every day.
Wow.
Everything that has happened, because it's led me to where I am today. So I'm just so grateful and so blessed to call him my father. I'm a child of a king.
Oh, yes, you are.
I'm his favorite child as well. Yes, I'm God's favorite child. I don't know about you, but I'm his favorite child.
That is amazing. You see, sometimes we don't know what we have within us. We've got greatness within us.
Absolutely.
The Spirit of God is in each and every one of us. I mean, you guys out there, you're hearing Barbara right here. From nothing to something. She's now Senior Vice President at Genister. But that's not how it started. Yes. But she was focused, she was obedient, and she kept going. She kept going. Whatever challenge you've had, keep going. Right, let's move on to the A on the acronym MADE. Author. So you're an author as well. Tell me about that.
It's so funny. I was smiling about this because I've got this book that I wrote. Yeah. And
what does it say? What does it say?
Oh, actually says money managing on nil every year.
There you go.
Yes. I mean, actually, this was my second edition, and this is my third edition. So please forgive me. This one is still got a bit of tidying up to do. This was like my draft copy to write in after to see what it looked like. Yeah. So I wrote the book because a very good friend of mine, Alex Gordon, said to me, Barbara, when you die, who's going to remember all of this? You need to write it down. You need to have it somewhere. And,
Correct.
you know, it's impossible to share every knowledge you have with somebody on their journey, financial or otherwise, to put it in a book. And so this is how the book came about.
Wow.
And so the book's on Amazon, and, you know, we're in the process of updating it and getting the new version out. Because that's the thing about financial services. It's like, you know, it's a moving target. It's always moving.
Keeps evolving.
Yes, exactly. The services change. The, you know, regulators change. Everything happens. And so having that, you know, book was something that, you know, was something we wanted to make sure that the story was being told and giving people a little bit of guidance. And sometimes, and I write like I talk.
Wow.
I write like I talk. So, you know, anybody reading this is going to be like, okay, I can hear her saying that, you know. They can hear me saying anything I say. Because I didn't want it to be something that people go like, that I don't understand it. I want it to be clear, simple. Right. Yes, exactly.
Wow.
So,
Gosh.
yeah.
You've done quite a lot. I mean, despite where you've come from,
Yes.
the challenges you've had,
Yes.
and look at where you are, and I'm sure you're going further.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
You know, as you're saying, you know, my mom bringing up 3 children on her own was very tough. I mean, my mom worked in the cane fields, and, you know, there were days when, you know, she couldn't eat because she had to provide for us. There were days when she stopped my brother from school when I was in high school so I could go to high school, because she had this thing that she wanted me just to do well. And so I owe so much to that lady. She never complained. She never quit. You know, she was always working. We would wake up in the mornings. We wouldn't see her. She'd already been in the cane fields. You know, we would come in the evening. We wouldn't see her. You didn't. You, I don't know. You know, might be very rich, so you don't know this, right? So we had those fires, and you know, she built up a thing so it wasn't on the ground, and she had wood and stones where everything rested on.
Ready to go.
Yeah. So she'd light it, and naturally we didn't have microwaves and refrigerator. So
I remember those days.
So she would leave your dinner right next to it so it'd stay warm.
Wow.
And it was the same thing. I remember once I had, you know, them shoes, those ballet shoes that I was wearing to school. And it rained so heavily. And she said to put it next to it to dry, and I put it so close. It melted. Oh my God, the thing melted.
Wow.
Poor lady had nothing. You know, got to the point where, you know, I was wearing her shoe to school Monday to Friday, and then on a Sunday she'd wear it to church. I remember my principal saying to me, he said to me, "Do not come back here with that shoe."
Wow.
And you know, I think we always joke about me having so many pairs of shoes, and I think subconsciously it's something that stemmed from that. But the fact that I always saw my mom struggle, and there was always a problem with shoe, so I've got a thing about shoe. I've always got to have at least a million pairs to choose from.
Wow.
Yes.
I like that because I have this motto: think big, start small, and move fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Move forward. And your journey is it's just phenomenal. It's just interesting, where you can sit back and reflect.
Yes.
And thank God for the journey.
Amen.
And if you had not gone through those journeys,
Yes.
you might not have been the person you are today.
True.
Let's move on and talk about, you're also a developer.
Yeah.
What do you develop?
I you know, one of the things about it, you know, people got skills in so many things in them that they sometimes they don't know, sometimes they don't know how to bring it out. And part of me is to develop those skills and those talents to help people to get to their true potential.
Okay.
I remember years ago, I went to work for TK Maxx as an operations manager, had no retail experience. And one of the things the area manager said to me when he interviewed me, he said, "When do you give up on people?" I said, never. I said, sometimes they just need somebody to believe in them. So part of it for me is about developing those skills, helping people to develop the right attitude, having the right mindset. So it's about developing what's already in them. You know, for a lot of people, I think they might think, "Oh, I'm developing software, I'm developing..." No, it is going within people and developing those things that God has put in them that they don't know it's there. My job is to develop it and pull it out and help to grow and expand that. That's what it's about for me.
So you can spot it out, bring it out, refine it, and put it out there.
Absolutely.
My goodness.
Absolutely.
Barbara Anderson.
Yes.
Right, you're also an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Go for it.
Okay, so being an entrepreneur for me has been about the journey that I started on back in 2004 when I was introduced to the business opportunity. And I was working full-time as an accountant. I was working part-time 2 evenings a week, going to college 2 evenings a week, single mother with a 3-year-old. So when you talk about time, I had no time. But time is relative. You only get 168 hours in a week. It doesn't matter what you do, that's all it is. You just got to realize how you're going to make those hours work. All right. So I started out in the business, and again, I think I'm always encouraging people, because people that are close to you, one, don't share their finances with you.
It's
They
true.
don't want you to know their business.
It's true.
And sometimes I think maybe they don't want you to succeed.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're scared for you.
Yeah.
Due to different reasons.
Correct.
Being an entrepreneur, that, you know, things are not going to go according to plan, because a lot of people who've not done what you've done
Yeah.
will always try to give you guidance and advice. Do not listen to people who've not done what you've done.
Correct.
Don't go to them for direction. Don't ask them for anything. Go
go.
find somebody who has done what you want to do and achieve, and get them to teach you and guide
Correct.
you. And then follow what they say. Follow what they say. It's so easy to say, yeah, I hear you. And then let me tweak what you've said. But I didn't tweak it when I was doing it. That's how it works.
That's how it works.
That's how it
You
works.
follow it.
Yeah, that's how it works. And being an entrepreneur for me has been something that, you know, I'd never worked for myself before.
Yeah.
I had never seen an opportunity.
Yeah.
An opportunity comes wrapped up in various shapes and
Correct.
packages.
Correct.
And sometimes as you unwrap them, you got to decide which one is yours.
Yeah.
And I found mine. God was good. 2004, my friend rang me and said to me, would you like to come to a meeting? My answer was no, because I'm not a morning person. And she wanted me to come to Central London on a Saturday morning. I went along to Central London after another good friend of ours. She was very colorful, and she shared some words with me that said, you better go. And so I was speaking to her last week, and I was just reminding her of that conversation.
Yeah.
And I went along, I got involved in the business, had no idea how it was going to work. And people say, I don't like selling. I don't sell anything.
Correct.
I educate people.
Ah, I like that.
educate people. When I educate people, they make smart decisions.
Correct.
It's the same thing like the gospel of Christ. How you share it is up to you. How they receive it is up to them.
Correct.
And so being an entrepreneur, these are some of the things that you got to start figuring out as you go on the journey.
Yeah.
That sometimes you won't have money.
Yeah, it's true.
Sometimes nobody's going to believe in you. You're the only person that's going to believe in you
Correct.
and God. And that's what you
true.
need. You don't need anybody else as part of that journey. So, you know, I got involved. I got to the vice president position in 5 months.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
5 months.
5 months.
That
5
is
months.
determination.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
In fact, you know, I had to pay for a background check, which was £140. I didn't even have £140.
Wow.
But the day I saw the business, I wrote the check, and then I rang him and said, don't bank the check.
I like that.
I rang him,
that.
do not bank my check. And he said
Wow.
to me, he said, you know, if your car broke down on the motorway, you had no breakdown cover, would you sleep there? If I gave you the key to a brand new car, you had to find £150 to go pick it up in the Midlands, would you find £150? I said, I guess I could.
Yeah.
He said, well, do the same thing you would do. Don't call me back. And he hung up his phone.
Wow.
That was my introduction. I got promoted to vice president in June.
Wow.
Won my first company trip to Hawaii the following year.
There you go.
By the way, I'm not competitive. I just love to win.
Ah, I
That's
like
it.
that.
Not
I like
competitive.
that.
I love to win. And that's the thing about it for me, is that having something that I'm
Yeah.
always aspiring for
Yeah.
and always, you know, striving for,
Yeah.
you know. And so being in financial services has just been amazing. You know, I always say, you know, that advice is a matter of opinion.
Correct.
Education is a matter of fact. Yeah?
Advice. Say that again. Say that again, Barbara.
Advice is a matter of opinion.
Did you hear that?
Education is a matter of fact.
There you go.
And that is why I educate people. I educate people to be better in all areas of their
Yeah.
lives. My main thing is finances, but I also realize that when people are struggling in their finances,
Yeah.
everything else get
Correct.
knocked on the
Correct.
head with
Correct.
that. So my job is to go out, give people the education to make smart decisions, and that's what being an entrepreneur is, you know, has afforded me the opportunity to be able to do that.
Wow, that's a mouthful. So people watching out there, if they want to join and follow your path to become an entrepreneur, what's the process? What's the structure?
Okay, it's funny. Hey, they can go find me on Instagram, and they can find me on Facebook. Okay, yeah. The thing about it is, we have such an amazing opportunity here where all we want are people with the right attitude.
Correct.
If you've got the right attitude, we'll give you the skills you need.
That's
You
good.
don't need to be super duper at finances. You know, I remember years ago I was at church and my old pastor said, your problem coupled with your passion coupled with your problem will indicate your purpose.
Wow.
Yeah. So for me, money was an issue.
Yeah.
I was passionate about making life better and doing things for my family,
Yeah.
so I found my purpose.
There you go.
And you know, for me, being in business, you know, as I told to people, and they come to one of my events, they come to one of my seminars,
Yeah.
or we get together, we have a quick chat, I share with them what I do, and they make the decision as to say, hey, Barbara, I want to work with you, and then I get ready. I'm going to go in, and I'm going to go full throttle. They want to go, I'm ready to go. I work at 100 miles per hour, and so, you know, sometimes you're going to fall over, you're going to bruise your knees up, but if you really want to make it happen, you know, I'm ready to work. I'm ready to get anybody. I sleep 4 hours a night.
Wow.
Yeah, I go to bed most nights 3, 4 o'clock. That's when I'm going to bed, and that's how I learn. You know, part of being an entrepreneur is that you can't afford to sleep too much. The Bible says, "Love not sleep, lest thou fallest into poverty."
Wow.
I didn't have the luxury of sleep all the time. I just had to make sure that I was using those opportunities wisely. So yeah.
Wow, a mouthful from an entrepreneur, Barbara Anderson. So Barbara, when do you find time to spend with your family?
Well, you know, I heard Bishop Wayne Malcolm said something once. He said, you know, there's no balanced life. Your family just got to lean where you're leaning for the balance to happen. Yeah?
Okay.
So my daughter, I used to take her on meetings and appointments with me.
Yeah.
I'd come in from work. I would shower her, put her sleep suit on, and we're going out. And then she said, and we get to the door, and she said, and I said, Corel. And she said, yes, I must learn my manners. I said, yes, learn your manners, no talking. Just come in and be quiet.
Wow.
And so, yes, so, you know, we get to do things. We, you know, there are times when I take time out. I don't need to ask permission to do anything. So if I'm out, take the family out, let's go do things. Me and my mom, we go champagnes.
Wow.
Me and my daughter will go like, right, let's just go for a drive. Me and my daughter, the other day, we just drove around the whole M25.
Wow.
Literally just to chat.
You
We
see?
just drove
You
around the
see?
whole M25 just to chat. So I do make those times. You got to create it.
You gotta create it.
capacity for
Wow.
what you need. Yeah.
Right, we've just heard it from the Senior Vice President of Genister, Barbara Anderson. You've heard her history. You've heard how she started. She was not born in the UK, but she came to the UK, saw an opportunity, jumped in, and she turned her life around. She's here today in person. She has her books that you can get on Amazon. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have failed in life, don't let that hold you back. There's still a second chance. Press the reset button. If you want to be in contact with Barbara, you can be in contact with them. Find out more about what she does and transform your life. Don't forget, it's not over till God says it's over. So if you want to go back and watch this episode again, feel free to do so. If you want to contact Barbara, feel free to do so. But I just want to thank you, Barbara, for availing yourself to come and educate all of us here. We're proud, we're honored to have you here.
Thank
and we wish you and your family all the best.
Thank you.
So until we meet again, same place, same time, you can go back to the YouTube channel and watch this again. Ciao for now. God bless you all.